Well, hey all, and welcome back. So today we have Matrix Monsters, and what this is, if I'm understanding correctly, is sort of a take on Monster Hunter. Now, Matrix Monster, I've seen it called this, as well as Matrix Empires, and it seems to be a series that was done back in 2015 that did tie into the series. However, I do not know if it is third-party or official. Now, one thing I want to talk about before we get too into it, so they've got their website on here, and their website does have things of the development of the products as well as some information about it. However, the app that was designed for this no longer works on the QR reader. One thing to note, when I was looking at these on their website, they have the price listed in yen, which makes me believe that this is a Japanese product. Even though it is made in China, this could be actually related to Monster Hunter. However, there is no official information available to find on that. Now let's go ahead and talk about packaging. This is a well-designed piece. There is some interactive elements to this that I think is really, really well thought out. Now let's talk about the package. On this side, you can see there's sort of a texture here. When I first pulled out of the box, I actually thought it was a dirty box, but this is a printed texture all over it. On the front, we have an illustration of the machine inside, the fiery dragon, and then some text here, and then just the QR and everything on the bottom. But to talk about how this is set up, I think it's really nice. So when you open it up, the box slides apart. You have a phone cover here, and then you can see the piece. And I found the best way to take it out is just shake the whole thing out, because there is more to it. So on the bottom, you have the instructions, a card, which takes you to their website and explains a few things about it. These are all, as far as, I mean, from a design standpoint, you know, when you consider the graphic design involved in this is a really classy piece. This is something that you expect more of a high-end thing. And to take it out, what we're going to do is just slide this off. So on top of being nicely designed packaging, it's also well packed. And what you see here is this block. It has this base here that is incorporated in the block design, so if you want to display it in this mode, it is configured for that. So underneath here, another nice feature is how they incorporated the stand and how it hides. And it's got some nice ratcheting joints in there. So that aside. And then we have, you know, a closer detail of this figure. And so we've got some orange, some whites, and browns is the somewhat monochromatic color scheme going on here. And you might be wondering, what is this thing? I mean, you see this sort of neat looking block that's mechanical, but when we start opening up, so fold this up, you can sort of start seeing the details of the head. So we've got the head there, tail with articulation, so we've got articulation at the base of it, with rotation, and joints there. Now, while this is probably strong enough, nope, not strong enough to hold it up. So you can see that these ratchets, probably not a way to display it. So we'll go ahead and really think that the stand is for that. So you can see the legs in here, some ratcheting in the hips, and then there's foot articulation, 3 fingers, so the toes close, and then the individual toes also are posable. So you can get some nice sort of swooping down. Then there's a little bit of side-to-side movement on the hip, especially if you move it down some. Then as far as the waist goes, there's no articulation. And then what we have here on the head, the mouth opens up. There's sort of little nozzle in there that's sort of like if it was going to spray fire. Then you've got these wings for articulation. So they fold down at the shoulder like that. So you can have them outward. And then they continue to expand. Let's see here. So we've got this claw up here. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of little points of articulation here. This is a really neat piece. Try to get these wings fully expanded. There we go. So that slides down. and this is the first time I'm messing with it out of the box. Before I just sort of looked at the box design, but now we're really getting into it. And these wings have a nice spread. I mean, this is a pretty decent sized figure, considering what you're getting. And now on their actual website, these are quite expensive, but they're on eBay right now, and I don't know how the manufacturers got a hold of them, but they're on eBay right now for a pretty decent price. I think $50, $60 shipped, which I think, considering what this is, I mean, this is a really neat thing if you're into chibi robot mech things, or even just a Monster Hunter fan. Now, one thing I'm curious is if the tail can allow it to stand with the wings. And these wings are really interesting because they're in a way like arms too. Yes, so you don't need the stand. You can configure it to where between the legs and the tail, they're both strong enough to maintain some balance. Some nice head articulation. I mean, this has got a lot of character to it. The aesthetic is nice. The plastic quality feels pretty nice. It seems like everything is, try to best explain it. It is hollow. It's sort of like everything was snapped together, but the plastic doesn't feel excessively thin. Now the joints on these upper parts of the wings are a little bit easier to move, no ratcheting or anything than the other stuff, but they still seem to hold pretty well. You can see we can put it up here. I don't know how they'll do over time, but since this is more of a display piece anyway. So a couple things I want to talk about the Fiery Dragon here is there's a couple of interesting gimmicks here along with the wings. Now, one thing that was kind of cool, and this reminds me of Master-Made products, when you close and open the mouth, the eyebrows move with it. So that's a cool little mechanic that's added in there. And the other thing is these wings. So these wings have a couple different configurations. And it's really up to your imagination of what you want to do with them. But if you fold them back in, because you have this little claw here, we take this little foot here, and then you can put it that way, and then you put these back up here, and you can configure them how you want. You can have them like it has a little blade coming on the back of his arm, and you do it to both sides. So you pull the foot down. This is probably the hardest part of all the modes, is just this little foot, because they made it such a tight little tolerance. There we go. So we got the foot flipped around and run it forward. And like I said, you can do whatever kind of configuration you want if you want to make it like different types of wings. So fold this back under here so they're both the same. And then we'll take the feet and move them up and turn them into more like claws. And these sort of become a new sort of legs. So it's sort of like a T-Rex mode. And like I said, you can play with this and get all kinds of different other configurations that you might think look better. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool to have that additional mode there. And he's just got all this little character. But you can get them where the legs are forward and back, or you can have it where they're even and he's perched. And these come up pretty high, so they are like little hands. So now, let's get him back into a flight mode. And we'll just move the wings back up. And that's another thing that's cool, is you can make different kinds of wings. Like before you saw where I had more of the claw type. Here you can mess around and make more of just a more of a wing looking type. Alright, so move the feet forward. And we can move the base over here. Now, the base itself, while it has these ratchet joints in here, and it has a ratchet in there as well, and these little claws, the way I believe it goes based off of their website is it just goes underneath their arms. So it means you're going to want to have it at a higher angle and pinch it. And it seems to hold it pretty well. However, it does not... I do think it would have been a much nicer stand had it had some sort of port that kind of clicked in. I think the way it's designed as is, is going to be a little problematic for stability. Just because, I mean, it could have probably used one more point of articulation on these fingers to have held it. But as you can see here, the stand is a little bit janky. So if you're going to use it, you're going to want to use it in cooperation with the tail to sort of make it a tripod and make it stand a little bit better. But it does look really good in flight mode. So with all the playability factors of it, its aesthetic, the well-designed packaging, the quality, I think it's just a overall sharp figure. So if you like this sort of thing, I do think this is worth looking into. If you like, if I had to equate it to anything I collect, I would say Mastermade. I don't feel the quality is near as nice as Mastermade, but it is pretty good. But as far as the engineering and the gimmicking goes, as far as the look as well, I think it fits in with them pretty well. So let us know what you think about this, and if it is worthy of your collection. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you all next time.